Rock Plaza Hotel here for the pre-race meal prior to the 10th annual Niagara Falls International Marathon. The food is good, company is equally good. Running Room Store's owner and marathoner extraordinaire John Stanton will be speaking shortly after some of our runners have done their carbo loading. Plenty of plates, and they're going to need them. Expecting thousands of runners here from more than 30 countries. International marathon, both in the fact that it goes from the United States to Canada and that it draws runners from all around the world. We've talked with people from Denmark, Australia, Wales, Germany, large contingent from Japan this year. They come from near and far. The Linderbooms, hello, how is the food? Ready for the marathon tomorrow? She is. Yeah. And you're the one who's eating. What's with this?
I'm watching.
That takes a lot of energy. Hey, good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
We're expecting 47 runners, at least from Japan tomorrow. More than a few of them are with this group here. Here's the crowd from the rostrum. Poor John Stunt will speak momentarily.
Can I have everyone's attention? Good evening. My name is Michelle Taylor, and I'm one of the many volunteers that you're going to meet this weekend. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for this evening. He is a best-selling Canadian author of 4 books on running. He was named to the Plains Magazine 2004 Canada Day Honor Roll as one of 10 Canadians making a difference in our nation for his contribution to health through fitness. He has been featured on many television and radio programs across Canada and the United States. He has run more than 60 marathons, hundreds of road races, numerous triathlons, including a Canadian Ironman, and the Hawaiian World Championship Ironman competition. He has helped well over 600,000 Canadians do everything from learn to run to complete marathons with a smile. One of his strengths is his ability to motivate others. Thousands of people have lost weight, improved their health and fitness levels, and truly changed their lives as a result of one man who was determined to change his own life by losing weight and getting fit. He is the founder and president of the Running Room, one of Canada's most successful running and lifestyle chains. Please join me in welcoming Mr. John Stanton.
Well, thanks, Michelle, and welcome to everybody. First off, I want to take a second just to thank all the volunteers, and maybe you can just join me with a little applause for Michelle. You know, if you've never been a volunteer at an event, you should sometime. Every runner, every walker should sometime take on the role of a volunteer, and just to see what it takes to organize an event. Something like Niagara has gone off like silk every year, and it's thanks to the volunteers. Those of you, and I know a few people attend Chicago, know what can happen if things don't go right, and sometimes we take things for granted, and the abuse that the volunteers would have put up with in Chicago, they deserve medals for what they do every day. The one thing I'd ask you to do is tomorrow when you're out on the course, and you're running by, and you'll see that this is a spectacular course with lots of volunteers. And I particularly like it because as you're running, particularly in the marathon, you're going to run and there's kind of gaps with very few people on the course, and then you'll hear this noise and it'll start getting louder and louder and louder, and it's the next aid station, which is manned by a lot of the schools and what have you. And they go out of their way to make sure that when you go by each aid station, that it's full of entertainment and fun, and that you get your refreshments that you need and what have you. So enjoy the day, but when you go by those volunteers, give them a little wave and thank you, because it would be pretty dull out there if we were just sort of wandered out of 26 miles or 42 kilometers and met and ran back here and there was no cheering crowd or what have you. It wouldn't be much of a celebration, but it is truly a celebration. And those of you that are running tomorrow, can I just get a show of hands? How many people are running their first full or half marathon? Wow, look at this. Woo. That's impressive. You don't have a clue as to what's going on. You know, there's a reason they give you that medal tomorrow. No, seriously. Those of you that are running your first one, it will be a moment that you will remember for a long time. And I can tell you, there's nothing like your first marathon. There's two events in our lives as far as running that we remember. One is our very first road race, where we think we're going to finish last and we miraculously complete it and do it standing and vertical at the end. And the other is our first marathon, and the marathon is an incredible experience. It's going beyond normal. It's the ordinary person going beyond normal and achieving that extraordinary accomplishment of running a marathon. And what you're doing tomorrow is a test. It's a celebration. It's a celebration of good health. It's a celebration of the training you've gone through. It's a celebration of the camaraderie and the friendships that you've made over the last several years. And for many of you, you've gone through the last 18 or 20 weeks getting prepared for the full or that half marathon. And what's really important is that you take a moment now and reflect on those friendships that you've made, because I can tell you that many of us make our best friends through running, and we become lifelong friends. And I don't know if you've noticed, but some of the training groups, it's quite interesting, because sometimes when you're training with people over the period of time, and you got a big training group and you meet every Sunday or Saturday and you go for your long runs, then somebody will say, well, Fred's doing really well, and you kind of go, oh, I didn't know his name was Fred, which is amazing, because you know what he's training for, you know what he's done in distances, you know his injuries, you know his bodily functions, far too much about him, and yet sometimes you don't know what Fred's last name or even first name is. And sometimes in our Canadian winters, we train all winter, and I remember training with a fellow all winter long, and his name was Mike. And then we came to the pasta supper, and we're sitting around the pasta supper, and there was a stranger at the table. Everybody sort of wondered, I wonder who this guy is. So I went over and introduced myself. He said, Mike, I'm the guy you're running with every week. But Mike had this big, horrendous toque he wore every long run, and he was there without his toque on. We didn't recognize him, so I said, you got to wear your toque in order to be recognized. And sometimes that's what you have to remember. One, volunteers, I want to warn you on a couple of things. So the volunteers are terrific out there, but they do tell us a few lies, okay? And along the course, you're going to hear this. And one of the lies you hear early on, and usually for our American friends, it's about 2 kilometers, which is a mile and something. They're going to say to you, you're almost there, And then the other one you'll hear, and this is always interesting on an out and back course, it's almost completely straight. They'll say, just around the corner, and you go, well, no, they got to be lying to you. And then this is always comical. It's all downhill from here, and it's a perfectly flat course, and you're thinking, okay. And the one they know that you're lying for sure, that you know for sure they're lying, and it usually comes around 35, 36 kilometers, or that last mile or 2 to go, and some hot dog hollers out, you're looking good, and you know they're lying, for sure. Because I believe in myself, I believe in the people around me, I can see the finish line, I can see the clock, counting down the numbers, I can hear the announcer calling my name. We hear the crowd cheering. I cross the finish line. Someone put a medal around my neck. They speak to me. I can't even hear them. I stand there with my hands on my hips, looking down at the grass beneath my feet, knowing that I indeed am a marathon. Have a great race out there tomorrow.